It arrived on a Tuesday, one of those ordinary, rain-drenched mornings when the world was half asleep. I was sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through job listings for the third time that week, when I saw the thick envelope on my doormat. Heavy cream-colored paper, embossed in gold, Crawford Estate, Winchester Hills. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. I hadn't heard from anyone in that family since I was 16. Since my mother died, and the Crawfords sent a bouquet and never came to the funeral. My grandfather, Lawrence Crawford, had been a legend, a steel tycoon with a god complex. Now, 10 years later, his estate was calling me back. Inside the envelope was a formal invitation to a weekend-long family gathering at his mansion. No reason given, just a date, a time, and a single handwritten note. "Come home, Emily. It's time." I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed to toss the letter into the trash and forget the Crawfords ever existed. But curiosity is a tricky thing. It crawls into your spine and whispers, "What if?" What if this was about closure? About answers I never got after Mom's death? She never spoke much about her family, only that she'd left them for good reason. But if there was even a sliver of truth to the rumors, there was money involved. A lot of it. Maybe enough to wipe away my debts and the crushing weight of trying to survive in a city that didn't care if I sank. So that Friday, with a suitcase packed more with caution than clothes, I drove the winding road back to Winchester Hills. The mansion appeared through the mist, like a sleeping beast, all cold stone and ivy-wrapped towers. I was the last to arrive. A valet took my keys without a word. Inside, the grand entryway was just as I remembered. Marble floors, twin staircases, the smell of aged wood and secrets. My cousin stood near the fireplace, whispering. Aunt Helena greeted me with a brittle smile, arms outstretched, as if we hadn't gone a decade without contact. "Emily," she said, her perfume a cloud of expensive decay. "You came. Good girl." I forced a smile and stepped inside the trap. Dinner was served in the great hall. At the head of the table sat my grandfather's lawyer, Mr. Beecham, pale and vulture-like. "Your grandfather has made arrangements," he announced. "Before the will is read, you'll all stay here for 3 days. House rules apply." He looked directly at me. No phones, no leaving the grounds, no exceptions. That night, I lay awake in the same guest room my mother and I had once stayed in. It felt untouched by time. Same canopy bed, same oil painting of a girl on a swing with no eyes. The window overlooked the garden maze, where we used to play. Somewhere in that house, my grandfather's ghost lingered. I could feel it in the way the halls creaked, in the cold breath of the chandeliers. The next morning, we were summoned to the library. Mr. Beecham stood beside a locked chest. "Lawrence Crawford left behind a challenge," he said. "One final test for his heirs. Complete it, and the inheritance is yours. Fail, and you walk away with nothing." My stomach nodded. This wasn't a will reading. It was a game. One my grandfather had been planning for years. The rules were simple, but cruel. Each of us would receive a sealed envelope containing a task. Complete it without breaking the house rules, and we stayed in the running. Fail, and we were out. No second chances. The fortune, rumored to be in the hundreds of millions, would go to the last one standing. My envelope felt heavy as I held it. Inside, a card with one line: "Uncover the truth about your mother's death." My heart stopped. She had died in a car crash. At least that's what I'd been told. But now doubt bled into memory. Had I been lied to all these years? I looked up. The others were reading their cards too, expressions ranging from confusion to fear. My cousin Blake shoved his into his pocket and walked out, already sweating. I spent the day searching the house, retracing old steps. In the attic, I found a box labeled Catherine, my mother's name. Inside were journals, photos, and letters. One photo caught my breath. It showed her standing on the estate's balcony, arm in arm, with a man who wasn't my father. On the back, in her handwriting, "He knows too much." I didn't recognize the man, but something about his eyes felt familiar. Digging deeper, I uncovered newspaper clippings, a car crash, but the police report didn't match the story I was told. There had been brake failure, no investigation. Case closed within hours. Someone had wanted it buried. Badly. I confronted Aunt Helena that evening. We stood in the rose garden, wind rustling the petals like whispered warnings. "You lied to me," I said, "about my mother." She didn't flinch, just looked at me with tired eyes. "We all did," she said. "Your mother was going to expose something Lawrence did. He couldn't let that happen." My chest tightened. "You mean he had her killed?" Helena looked away. "She died because she trusted the wrong people. Your grandfather wasn't a man to cross." I staggered back, the truth sinking in like poison. I didn't just lose my mother. She was taken from me by the very man now offering me a fortune. The next day, Cousin Blake disappeared. His room was empty, no sign of him anywhere. Mr. Beecham made no comment, just said Blake had been disqualified. The rest of us were rattled. My cousin Julia started crying. "This isn't a game," she whispered. "It's a damn trap." I believed her, because with every secret I uncovered, the stakes felt higher. I wasn't just chasing money anymore. I wanted justice, for my mother, for myself. That night, I returned to the attic and found something hidden beneath the floorboards, an audio recorder, dusty and old. I played the last message. It was my mother's voice. "If anything happens to me, it's not an accident. Tell Emily to never trust them, especially not Helena." My world spun. Aunt Helena, the one who welcomed me with open arms, was involved. I didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling, her words echoing in my head. The next morning, I played the recording for Mr. Beecham. He listened silently, then nodded. "Thank you," he said. "That completes your task." I blinked. "What?" He held up my envelope. "You uncovered the truth. The rest of your family chose silence. You chose to see." The others were called to the drawing room. One by one, they were dismissed. Julia begged to stay. Helena stormed out in fury. In the end, it was just me. Mr. Beecham handed me a sealed folder. Inside, the full inheritance deed. The Crawford estate, the companies, the legacy, all mine. But also a choice. I could accept the fortune and remain silent, as generations had before me. Or I could go public, share my mother's story, burn the Crawford name to ashes. I stood in the garden where she used to walk, wind in my hair, decision heavy in my chest. Money could buy safety, but truth could set us free. I chose both. I took the fortune, and I told the world everything. My name is Emily Crawford, and this is the story of how I turned a trap into a torchlight, one that will burn forever.